Okay, sometimes the law of sines does not work, so we need to use a law of cosines. So when it's not a right triangle and the law of sines doesn't work, we're going to use the law of cosines. What's great about the law of cosines is that it's always the same. It does not have special circumstances like the law of sines. And every time you use the law of sines, you have to consider that there's two possible triangles. Whereas the law of cosines, it is what it is. The formula for law of cosines is side squared equals the other two side squareds added together minus 2 times those other sides cosine of the angle. What's important about the law of cosines is that side and that angle must match. The other two sides are on the inside. These inside sides, angles, are not used at all. This side, whatever we're trying to solve for, has to match this angle. So if this was b squared out here, then this has to be cosine of b. Or if it was side c, then I'm going to be solving for, I'd have out angle c. Now, this is set up that we're solving for a side. We don't always solve for a side. So if you're going to solve for the angle, again, the letters are irrelevant at this point because you can change ABC to XYZ or whatever it is. What's important that you know is these are the other two sides and this is the angle matching to the side given, or angle given, vice versa. So if I'm solving for an angle, you can definitely solve this just as it is, or I'm going to solve it and you can just memorize that version of it. So let's say I want angle A. That would mean I'm going to take a squared, subtract b squared, subtract c squared. Once I get rid of a squared, b squared, I'm now going to be dividing by the negative 2bc. Now I have cosine A, so that means I'm going to be taking the inverse of that. Now to help you with this whole negative sign so you don't have to worry about that, you can change it to b squared plus c squared minus a squared, because I'm just getting rid of the negative by switching signs. So that the angle I want is the side I'm subtracting. The other two pieces are positive and they're being added. So if you're finding the angle, this is the solved version of it. Second cosine, because that's how we find an angle. The other two sides squared added together, subtract the side you want, divided by 2 times those other two sides. All right, so let's look at an example of this. Given this triangle, I have side 10, 18, and 26. Notice if I even tried to use the law of sines, I couldn't because I don't have any angle to set up a proportion with. So law of cosines is my only option. I can solve for any angle at this point. Some people always like to solve for the larger one. It really doesn't matter, but that's just a good rule of thumb. When I do that, if I'm going to set up and solve for C, because that's the longer side there, so that means that's the bigger angle, 26 squared equals 18 squared plus 10 squared, the other two sides, minus 2 times those angles, and then the cosine of C. Because I'm solving for an angle, I would want to use this kind of solved version. 18 squared plus 10 squared minus the 26 squared divided by 2 times 18 times 10. Take the inverse cosine of it. So there's all that. And we get, hopefully, 134.4 degrees. Now, if it just asks for a certain part, you're done. But if it asks you to solve the triangle, again, you would do exactly what we've done every single time we've solved the triangle. You would put down every letter of the angle. You would put down every side. So in this case, 18, 10, 26. And now when we solve it, 134.4, I would fill in the information. Now, to solve the rest of the triangle, I can use the law of sines. However, if I use the law of sines, I need to always consider the possibility two triangles exist. If I don't use the law of sines and I only use the law of cosines, use this process again to find B, and then I could do the sum adds to 180 to find A, or vice versa, find A and then do it for B. Law of cosines, I only get one possibility. So be careful with that. If you choose to use the law of sines to completely finish out your problem, then you need to make sure that you check for two possible, two or more triangles, or triangle, one triangle, or no triangles. Obviously, we're going to get one because it's given to you, but there is the possibility of two. So just take care of that if you use the law of sines. All right. What I'd like you to do is on this next example, where I give you side A is 3, side C is 8, and angle B is 60, I would like you to find side B on your own. You should come up with the answer that the angle or side B is 7, but I want to be able to check it tomorrow when you come to class. So that's your law of cosines.